This is a podcast of 98FM's Dublin Talks. Remember, catch the show live Monday to Friday at 10 a.m.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
98FM.
If you were from Dublin, like most of us listening to this programme today, you've probably never really been on a mini break in Dublin. Although some of you possibly have. I know I did a couple of weeks ago during the snow through no fault of my own other than the weather. We had a couple of days in town. But I love Dublin. I love everything about the place. And I love when I see visitors and tourists, both from the other parts of Ireland and from abroad, visiting our city. I think we have a lot to offer. However, for one of our listeners, she went back home to County Waterford with a very horrible taste in her mouth about her 2-day visit to Dublin. Lisa, you're welcome to 98FM.
Hi, thanks, Adrian.
So, Lisa, you were here in Dublin last Thursday and Friday. What brought you to the capital?
We were up to see a concert on Thursday night, and we were meant to stay one night, but we ended up staying an extra night.
Okay, what made you stay the extra night?
A girl that was travelling in our company was sick, so we had no choice really but to stay an extra night. Okay,
right. Okay, so last Thursday and Friday, very busy days in town, especially with Friday with the pubs open again and all of that. So tell me what happened and why it was such a horrible visit.
Well, on the Thursday, we arrived at the train station and we took the Lewis out to our hotel, which is a city centre hotel. We approached, I think it's Abbey Street, there's a stop there, and the Lewis was delayed for a few minutes, and after about 15 minutes of sitting on the Lewis, we all were told we had to leave as there had been syringes found on a seat on the Lewis that we were on. Mm-hmm. So we had to
get off the Lewis.
Depart the Lewis, and we decided to walk to our hotel because it's not too far of a walk from Abbey Street. Really.
Yeah, right, okay.
So Thursday we attended the concert, everything was fine, and the Friday morning things started to change. I was down at reception trying to book a room for the second night, and a male and a female came in to check in with a baby in a buggy. And from the get-go, the people at reception were well aware of them, and there was remarks been passed back and forth about keep an eye on them and watch them and all this different kind of...
Okay, so the hotel staff were familiar with these people?
Well, I got the feeling they were. Now, I don't know whether it's because they came in to check in and they had very strong Dublin accents and they had a central carrier bag with their stuff in it. I don't know whether it was they stood out more, I'm not sure. But they were well aware of them from the point of check-in. Okay.
Okay, you've the bad experience, and I hate to say it, but it's an all too common experience on the Lewis of things like syringes being found. I'd like to say it happens in lots of other cities as well as Dublin. Don't know how true that is, but I should imagine it happens in other places. But in the hotel, this particular group of people caused mayhem.
Absolutely. I finished checking in. I finished at reception and I went to my room. And I was in the room with the girl I was staying with, and we could hear commotion out in the corridor. So I went out to see what was going on. And as I went out, one of the housekeeping staff came running towards me. And I could still hear shouting. And here was another member of housekeeping being cornered by these two people. And they were after taking her purse.
So they were robbing her on the corridor in front of your eyes?
Literally on the corridor in front of our eyes. Now, I think from after speaking after it, I think what happened was she was finishing on the corridor, had her handbag on the trolley and went to lock a room door and had her back turned as they passed. But
so what time would this have been at?
It was 1:30 on a Friday afternoon.
Okay, so they were only in the hotel and they started carrying on like this, but they were allowed to stay and cause mayhem all night?
Absolutely. They were 2 rooms away from us for their stay, and from about 8 o'clock in the evening till 6:30 that morning, the screaming, the shouting, the slamming of doors, security were up and down. It was crazy. The baby was screaming all night long. The partner was screaming at his girlfriend or wife, whatever she was. Why is he screaming? Can you do something about it? They were in the corridor physically killing each other at one point. It was just an absolute nightmare.
But all the while, though, this hotel allowed these people to remain, and were the guards even called?
We are unsure about this because at about 4:30 in the morning, we were in the room and we could hear, like the walkie-talkies. So we weren't sure at this point if it was security or if it was guards. But the male staying in the room went off with these people but came back a while later.
Right, so they stayed for the whole night, or they weren't taken out of the hotel by the Gardaí.
Definitely.
So this is left. I mean, you said in your message that you sent to us earlier on, we were visiting Dublin Thursday and Friday. We will never visit again. You're up from Waterford, which is one of my favourite cities in Ireland as well, I have to say. But you will never visit Dublin again.
Definitely not. I'd be familiar enough with Dublin. We travel a lot with work and that. But after this time, it seems to have gone downhill again. I can't really explain it. Obviously, everywhere has issues with drugs, as you said, and syringes. And Waterford has gone bad lately too. But I have never witnessed what we have over those 2 days in Dublin anywhere else.
And it's so much so, like you wouldn't recommend friends visit, would you?
No, so much so. We have one of our friends' birthdays coming up, and we had booked into this same hotel again. We had booked the penthouse for the weekend for her birthday, and we're actually after cancelling it this morning because...
Oh, that's sad to hear now, I have to say.
Rather not.
I have to say, as a Dub, I'm very disappointed to hear that you had such a bad experience, that you've cancelled future trips and that you won't visit Dublin again. I know an awful lot of other people would say it's a great city. It's unfortunate that something like that has happened to you. Like I said, over this bank holiday weekend, I had a terrific night out in town on Sunday. Can't complain about any of it. I love the atmosphere in town, but then I am fortunate that nothing bad has ever happened to me. I'm really sorry to hear that, and I would hope that the message doesn't go out there that you shouldn't visit Dublin, because I think it's a great place, and maybe you'll give us a try again sometime.
Adrian, before that, we've had nights out at the previous, and we've had no bad experience. But sometimes all it takes is one.
Is one, absolutely.
As you say, we were terrified all night in that room, as we didn't know what was going on next door. They tried to open our room door at one stage, so it was just pure fear, and it just didn't feel safe at that point.
All right, but like I said, I'm sorry you had such a bad experience, but don't rule us out for future visits, Lisa.
Try not
Thanks
to.
very much indeed for talking to us.
Thank you, take care.
This is 98FM's Dublin Talks.
98FM. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. on 98FM.